You will treasure in your heart. Karibuni Harambee, Ilamu ya wanyama wa porini. Welcome to Harambee.
How about Mom be right here, then Ben's right there, and then you're on that. What are you gonna get for you on that? You were next to me
There's one of them resting right there, right in between the downed log and the tree. See its ears flapping a little bit. Black rhinos there for their pointy upper lips, which they'll use to pull in leaves and other bits of foliage into the mouth, as well as the two horns on their head, which are made out of keratin. Same material makes up our fingernails and hair in humans. Black rhinos actually can file their horns down by rubbing them up against hard surfaces. Something like a rock or a mud wall usually works pretty well. And we'll file down the same way we would file our fingernails down because it's made out of that same material. Now the brush of the forest is where a lot of the antelope's camouflage works the best. And that looks like it's going to be the case coming up here on our left side, just around this bamboo. I do spot a bongo already. It's going to be the chestnut red coat, as well as a light tan greater kudu. Both animals have the same type of camouflage, though. It's going to be a lighter colored stripe up against a slightly darker coat. And in combination, both of those working together,
there's one right here,
are going to help blend into the background at night, it looks like. And it appears we do have an animal blocking the road somewhere ahead of us on the reserve right now. That's typically what happens when we need to stop right here. So whenever that truck ahead of us is able to move forward, we'll move forward along with it. But typically, if we're backed up this far in the reserve, it's pretty far ahead of us where the next animal might be stopping. So I'll keep an eye on the radio for y'all, see if we get any movement in the next few minutes or so. Talk a little bit more about the bongos and kudu while we're waiting here, though. The bongos, both male and female bongo, are going to have horns on the top of their head. Well, that's not true of the greater kudu, or just the male greater kudu are going to have the corkscrewing horns that the species is known for. The way you generally tell apart male and female bongo, though, just from a distance, is usually male bongos a little bit larger overall in size, and their red's going to be a little bit darker in shade, as their red will actually darken a bit more as they grow. It looks like that truck's moving up just a little bit, so we'll move past this gate at the very least. That truck behind us, get a little bit better view of those antelope. As we head up this hill, we are making our way now towards the Safi River. The Safi River, as you might guess, is home to animals that like to frequent the water. The most notable one we can usually find at this time of day is the Nile crocodile. So keep your eyes peeled for any crocs and any other animals out there on the water today. First area of the river is going to be coming up on our right side. That's where you're going to want to keep your heads turned first.
Yeah, they're fighting.
Not quite sure what the sparring match is about today.
You take that back.
They do normally like to hang up on top of areas like that so they can dry their wings off. That's typically what they do, spend most of their time doing. Alongside water edge.
Oh, now there's gonna be another fight.
A little bit further beyond, you're going to get to see some pinked-backed pelicans over here in the lawn. They're birds with the white and gray feathers, but they get their name, as you might guess, from a very faint pink coloration you can find in between their backs. You can already see that pink coloration of when the birds were to spread their wings out nice and wide, though. And they do have quite a wide wingspan for a bird of their size. They're going to be about 7 to 9 feet across, tip to tip, across their head. Also, sort of catty corner to where our current position is, you will see hippopotamus hanging out in the water. Hippos spend the vast majority of their day in the water. They can hold their breath up to 8 minutes at a time.
I see it in the water.
And their bodies will actually come up to take a breath every 8 minutes as they sleep underwater during the day. Germans choose to sleep underwater, particularly on hotter summer days, because it's cooler down there than it is on land. And they are nocturnal animals, so they are going to leave watering holes at night to go look for food primarily. They'll travel about 6 miles away at most to go look for that food, and they'll generally eat about 85 to 90 pounds of vegetation each night. Hippos weigh about 5,500 pounds. Once they're fully grown, or up to that weight, I should say. And when you see them moving in the water, they're not actually swimming in a way that we would traditionally think of swimming. They're actually more walking along the surface of the riverbed itself to get from place to place. See if we can find any carnivores here. There might be out somewhere hunting on the Savannah though, so it's not always a sure thing to find them here. It looks like it might be the case today. Oh, you might see just the ears of the painted dog on top of the den as we drive by. Very tricky to see. Painted dogs are one of the best pack hunters in Africa. Have a hunting success rate about 80 to 90%. Over in the very back corner, you'll find a sable antelope over there. It's that dark brown antelope with the bowed horns. Sort of near that gap in the forest. That's actually the emblem of our reserve. You might have seen the silhouette of this animal on our welcome sign when we first drove out here today. And those bowed horns they can actually use to throw predators off their back. Make one of the few antelopes in the world that will actually choose to fight rather than to run away when they're targeted by those predators. That's exactly why we chose them to be out here. You often see different antelope more charging at each, sort of wildebeest charging at each other. I'm not sure. Wildebeest can travel in huge herds, literally as large as 1.5 million during those migration periods. You can find 1.5 million wildebeest traveling together. Actually makes them the second most densely populated animal in the world at that time, behind us humans. Ooh, and just around the corner, friends, looks like we have a whole tower of giraffe waiting for us. Yeah, towers, what we call a group of giraffe out here. One of my favorite group names for these animals. Side giraffe, of course, are one of the tallest animals in the world. That's how they get that group name. 19 to 20 feet tall if they're male, 15 to 16 feet if they're female, and even the baby giraffe you see standing around are huge. They were born at a whopping 6 feet tall. Not quite sure what these friends are doing right now, but their favorite pastime is usually eating. They'll eat about 16 to 20 hours each day. Those baby giraffe you see over there, they had a bit of a rude awakening of the world, if you ask me. When they were first born, they dropped about 6 feet to the ground from their moms.
That's kind of weird. I see
But Hakuna Matata, my friends, no worries. Those giraffe are usually up and walking within the first hour after they're born.
The one's like, I'm just going to eat. I don't know what they're doing. Because they're all literally.
Coming around the corner here, friends, this fallen tree is usually the signal we're passing by a couple watering holes over here, where you can sometimes find some larger animals, and I'm spotting one of them already through the woods. It may be pretty tricky for us to see, but there's an African elephant back there on our right side. Certainly one of the largest animals in our reserve. It can reach weights of up to 12,000 pounds when they're fully grown. Over to our left side, you might catch a glimpse of a mandrill as well, sort of towards the back wall. Yes, Rafiki is a mandrill in The Lion King. Very correct.
Although they still live in Africa, where in reality, like just like they did.
Right over here to our right side, friends, we'll see that elephant a little bit up close. Probably best known for its trunk and its tusk. I like the ears on the elephant the best. They have blood vessels on those ears, so they'll actually flap up and down to cool down. Blood vessels help regulate this body temperature. They can actually lower their body temperature by quite a bit, about 15 degrees Fahrenheit. When they flap them up on hot days like that.
You know, I've read it in the Lion King that you know how Simba's technically a real line in reality. No matter how much protein those bugs had, he never would have been
Well, friends, I'll be honest, I wasn't sure that bridge was going to hold up, but I'm glad it did for us today. That road closure means you have to take some weird detours around here, including underneath this railroad track some of the time. But usually when we're heading through these clay pits, we get to see something pretty cool. That's the case today. Over to our right side, you'll see some elephant tusk marks over there in the clay. Evidence we haven't been the only visitors to swing by here recently. There's been some footprints from our friends on the left as well. Elephants will rub their tusk up against clay like that to get minerals so their tests their diets don't otherwise provide. It's a great way to make sure those tusks stay nice and strong. Actually, one other interesting thing we've learned about elephants over the years out here is they're actually very, very afraid of bees. That's a bit of a strange fear for an elephant at first glance, but it does come from a good place. Elephants are very protective of their trunks, which they use for just about everything they do in their day-to-day lives, from eating to drinking, even throwing dirt on their back to cool down. That protection can manifest itself in interesting ways, such as a natural instinct to stay away from beehives, for fear of those bee stings causing their trunks to swell up, which would take them out of commission for quite a while. And it's actually a fact we've begun to use to our conservation advantage. Farmers occasionally have problems with elephant stampedes destroying their crops. And one way they've learned to help prevent those stampedes over time is, rather than having to hunt the herds down after the fact like they used to, they instead install beehives on the fences outside their farms, which is naturally going to keep those elephants away. It's a good solution for everyone. Those farmers get a proactive solution to protect their crops, and as conservationists get to protect baby elephants like this one coming up here on our left side in the process. There's about size. That baby elephant's probably about anywhere from 2 to 3 years old. It means you're probably looking at a female herd over here. They're generally the ones that raise calves like that. Male elephants, when they come of age around 13 or 14, are usually pretty solitary. Right over here on our left side, you'll find a flamboyance of greater flamingos.
Oh, another face. Man, a lot of birds, man.
Greater flamingos are the largest and the lightest pink of all flamingo species. Though, like all flamingos, that pink coloration will actually come from what they eat. Now, flamingos will eat a diet consisting mostly of brine shrimp, and brine shrimp have a chemical in them named beta-carotene. That's actually what gives the flamingo its brilliant pink color, you see. Predators to scout the Savannah. Not seen too much of that quite yet. If you happen to be in the village late this night when the lions are getting the most active and hear sort of a low rumble coming from this part of the reserve, might be these lions roar. They tend to be heard from over 5 miles away out here. Come up on our left side, you're gonna find some warthogs over by, looks to be their burrows over here.
So pretty.
Warthogs have big curved upper tusks, which they're gonna use to dig out the burrows you see underneath, as well as sharp lower tusks that they'll use to fight off something. They're another animal that loves to wallow in mud. They do so because they lack sweat glands to cool down on their own. So mud's absolutely essential to help them lower their body temperature out here. And indeed, coming up on our right side, we're going to see a couple different species of animals. We're going to find a crash of white rhinos in the back. Known for their wide mouths, which are built for grazing out here. It's actually how the white rhino got its name. They're originally the Veit rhino in Afrikaans. Veit meaning wide. But us English speakers mistranslate it, which is how they got the name the white rhino. You also find 2 ostriches in the back, the largest bird species in the world. They got sprint speeds of up to 40 miles an hour, and those eggs underneath the tree, which are there, take about 40 days to hatch.